Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the A360 webinar today on A360. Basically, A360 is connecting your project data with your team. So probably most of you are here today wondering, what is A360 and what can it do for my organization? Or maybe you've been using it in the past and you just would like to, some more information about it. So basically, just to start off, a little background, A360 is a cloud-based platform that is offered by Autodesk. If you look back about a year, a little bit over a year and a half ago, A360 basically started out as a virtual drive that was on the cloud. Today it's now evolved into a project collaboration interface that helps your team, your designers, engineers work together in a centralized location or platform. So you may, the cloud, a buzzword, has been around for a few years now, and you may or may not know the definition of really what a cloud-based platform is. So basically, to summarize it and not get into much of the technical details of it, it's just a platform or a service it's free to you, or it costs you some money, and it's offered over the internet, and and in most cases the infrastructure is managed by the provider, which to you, the end user, the cost is low. There's no servers, no hardware, those type of things to manage. It's constantly updated. You don't have to worry about, oh, I don't have the latest updates and those type of things. So basically, that's what a cloud-based platform is, and that's what the Autodesk A360 is. So, as I stated about a year and a half ago, when the Autodesk released its 2014 product line, and then the image there shows Product Design Suite, but just don't assume it's just associated to that suite. Autodesk 360 was included. As I stated earlier, it was a cloud-based virtual hard drive that allowed the user to post and share their designs with others. So you could basically, create a design, put the information out there, and then you could share it amongst other individuals so that they would go and access that information. Recently, in the past few months, Autodesk has changed that and rebranded the product now as Autodesk A360. And underneath that umbrella of Autodesk A360, you have the A360 Drive, what it initially started out as A360 and A360 Team. And that's those three items we are going to talk about in this presentation. So let's first talk about the A360 Drive. Like I said, it started out in the 2014 product line, and it continues today. So for example, let's say you're a CAD designer and you're working on designing an engine. You get a call from your engineering manager who's traveling, and he or she would like to see your design. All right. Well, the only thing that the engineering manager has with them at the moment is their smartphone. So basically what the A360 Drive would allow you to do is the designer would upload the design to his or her A360 Drive location, then in turn share it to the engineering manager, and then from that point the engineering manager with his smartphone and the Autodesk A360 mobile app would have the ability to remotely view the design without even having a CAD computer or even know the CAD software. At the same time, the designer gets a call from the vendor and says, hey, that new design or that new mounting plate that you're putting on your engine, hey, I would like to see the updated version of that so that I can give you an updated quote. Same thing. Designer says, hey, it's already on my A360 Drive, I'll share it with you. And now the vendor, using logging into the A360 Drive aspect, can now access that design as well. And we all always probably get the call from the salesperson saying that, hey, I'm at the customer site and I would like to really demo or show our new engine design to, to a potentially new customer. Same thing. The salesperson with his or her iPad can launch the Autodesk A360 mobile app and also access that design as well. And take it a step further, what about if you had another designer who's actually designing the car body, let's say at another facility, and they want to make sure the changes that you're making to the new engine design is still going to fit inside the car body. Same thing, that designer can access the A360 Drive. However, when looking at the A360 Drive aspect, the workflow does have its limitation. Basically look at those flow arrows. They're really only going in one direction. All right, so you're kind of limited what you can do. But it is a way to, at least get your design information out to the required individuals. So to break it down, kind of the A360 aspect that's on your computer. I know some users have experienced issues with the A360 aspect, locking up computers or things like that. And sometimes most of those conditions are associated to, your internet connection at your location. I forgot how many customers I saw the other day by a publication by Autodesk indicating, how many people are using the A360 Drive or the A360 team aspect, which we'll talk about here in a few minutes. So depending on your Autodesk product, right inside your Windows Explorer, you would have an Autodesk 360 drive or virtual drive that I talked about. When I click on that, that acts just like a normal hard drive that's sitting on your computer or on a network. One of the nice features about the A360 drive is if I put files right in there, if I copy them using Windows Explorer, it automatically syncs right up to the cloud with it. All right. At that point, you would then have to go to the cloud if you want to share that information. So you could also think about the A360 Drive as a backup tool for you. So if there's some critical files that you want to make sure that they're secure, they're off-site, the A360 Drive is one way of doing that. So one of the things I just wanted to show in the presentation here is, what it looks like. So in the upper slide here, it's, showing that it's not sign in. So you just right mouse click on it, click sign in, put your Autodesk 360 Drive credentials in, and then you can, once it's logged in, then you have the ability to open up your A360 Drive, launch the website. You can sync your files, or you can pause the sync. There's other things that you can do, and we'll talk more about that here in a second. So inside of vanilla AutoCAD and other Autodesk applications also have the A360 interface inside of it. And it all depends on the application, what features are there. So when I'm in vanilla AutoCAD and I sign in, I have the ability to share my documents, access the local and cloud-based information, and also sync my AutoCAD settings. So if you go inside the AutoCAD options, I think it's the very last tab, is the Autodesk A360 interface. And what you can do is you can have your settings, your AutoCAD settings, and we're not talking about we're sharing design data. We are talking about how to protect or make copies of our Autodesk settings or AutoCAD settings up to the cloud. So in there is an option to click on to sync your AutoCAD settings to the cloud or to this A360 Drive. So that may be one thing that, even if you're not going to use the A360 Drive, that's one way of protecting your AutoCAD settings. So if something happens, you can download them back again from the cloud and then bring your AutoCAD settings right back to where they were. So we're talking about profile settings, those types of things. So the A360 Drive overview aspect of it by the internet is www.360.autodesk.com. All right, so that's the address. So you can see by the screenshots there, that is the A360 Drive information. So that information that you're seeing in the lower right-hand slide showing my documents that I have up there, that would be the same documents that would be on my virtual hard drive. However, if somebody shares a document with me, then it would also appear in the A360 Drive up on, when I go to the internet, type in the address and log that in. That any files or documents that are being shared by others would not appear on my virtual hard drive in Windows Explorer. All right. So let's talk about some additional information, or we'll finish up with the A360 Drive. So think about this, that it's a personal hard drive, it's a folder-based concept, primary use for uploading, viewing, and sharing information, all right? It's not project or team-based information. It's just, kind of think of a floating thumb drive or a flash drive that's sitting out there for you. It is Autodesk's first cloud-based interface for sharing designs, and like I said, it does have its limitation, but it still has its use for it. If you're really thinking more about it, I need to really be working with projects and teams, then I advise to start looking at the A360 or the A360 team aspect. And we'll talk more about the A360 team here in a few minutes. But if you're currently using the A360 Drive, there is no plan at this time that they're going to scrap it and everything goes to the A360 team aspect. Like I said, the site www.360.autodesk.com. The key here, and this applies to all the A360 aspect, is that anybody who's accessing your shared documents has to have their own Autodesk A360 Drive account. And like I said, that also applies in the team aspect too. So that means everybody could or can have an Autodesk A360 Drive account. All right. So even if you're not using an Autodesk product, you can still sign up and get your own virtual cloud-based hard drive if you want to. If you're on an active subscription, you're part of the company's subscription, then you are allowed 25 gigabytes of cloud space. All right. If you just sign up, you're not using any Autodesk products, so let's say somebody in purchasing, your engineering manager, they're not really part of the Autodesk subscription that you have for your organization, or maybe you're working with a vendor. They are given, those type of accounts are given 5 gigabytes of cloud space. Like I said earlier in that workflow, there's mobile apps. There's one for the Apple products and also one for the Android phones. Just keep in mind that for Apple, you have to have the operating system 7.0 or higher, and then the Android version of 4.0.3 or higher. Like I said earlier, it still requires an Autodesk A360 account, but if you have an A360 account, and you're doing it on your computer, you would use the same on your mobile device as well. Just keep in mind that when I was talking earlier about the workflow, and I was saying it has a limitation of, the flow arrows are only going in one direction. The other limitation is that the mobile app when you're looking at the A360 Drive, only has the ability to view Revit, Navisworks, drawing, and DWF files. However, in the past couple of weeks, there's been an issue reported that the Revit and Navisworks files, there's been some people have been experiencing some issue on the mobile devices of seeing Revit and Navisworks files, but Autodesk is currently investigating that. So if you're currently using it and say, gee, I set up this Navisworks file, but you know this person on this mobile device is having issues, that's the reason behind it. So that concludes the A360 Drive. It's like I said, it's just basically a virtual cloud-based hard drive that allows you to you know, put stuff out there. You can share it if you want to. You can, like I said, you can also take and store your AutoCAD settings up there as well. So let's move over to, you know, the team aspect. So when you're working together on a project in your organization, there's three kind of key elements that I feel anytime when you're working on a project, and it doesn't have to be a design project, you know, it's basically the team or the people. You know, in the past, years ago, most time when you're working on the project, your team or the members of that team were probably in the same building that you were working with. I mean, nowadays, you know, teams are scattered all around the world, all right? The next key is your project data. I mean, you got everything from Excel spreadsheets to PDFs to CAD files. It's, you know, all across the board. You know, it's just not one type of, you know, data or file types that you're working with. The other is the project activity. All right, you know, who's doing what? You know, that's across the board. You know, there's certain people are doing certain things. You know, people keeping track of calendars, those type of things. So, you know, in the project activity, you know, there's different roles, administration, and those type of things. And then the fourth one, which I kind of feel is important, is the software that you're using. As I indicated before in the project data, there's always different types, you know, MS Office, PDFs, Adobe, you know, PDFs, CATIA, SolidWorks, ProE, Inventor. I mean, everybody's using all different types of software. And it makes it very hard when working on the projects to look at that information, to share that information, you know, to try to convey that this is what we're trying to do, or work together based on, you know, this vendor has SolidWorks, but we're using Inventor. You know, how can we all work together? So looking at this, times have really changed. So if you think about it, years ago, and probably not that too far off, we were, you know, sending hard copies. And then, you know, we're starting to mail floppies and CDs of our design. Then we're emailing, and then, you know, email got restrictions on. Then we started using FTP and file sharing aspect. I kind of view these, you know, some of these now, you know, up to the FTP and file sharing aspect, you know, it's kind of one-way aspect. You know, there's no way of taking that hard copy, you know, I got to mark it up, I got to mail it back, those type of things. So, you know, if you kind of fall into one of these categories, it might be something that, and you're struggling with to work together, it might be time to start looking at, you know, a cloud-based application such as the Autodesk A360. So let's break down the A360 aspect of the Autodesk product. It was launched on October 2nd, and that's when it kind of got rebranded as the three items. You know, the A360 aspect is, you know, like I said, you know, minus the drive, is the team project collaboration interface. You know, it's a centralized workspace. Single interface, user interface. Doesn't matter if I have an A360 Drive account, I belong to this project, that project. It's all in one location. There's no need to switch accounts. I also have the ability, if I put something on A360 Drive, a few months ago, I can copy it over to a project. The site with this one is www.autodesk360.com. The biggest difference about the uploads between this and the Drive, that there's no auto sync at this time. So if you make a change to a document, you have to manually upload it or download it. One of the biggest keys with the A360 or A360 team aspect is the enhanced 3D viewer and the searches that you can do. So it supports over 100 different types of file formats. Excuse me. Autodesk, SolidWorks, Pro E, any of the major CAD platforms, Office, media, and image files. So it's it's across the board. It's one viewer that supports. It's not the Autodesk A360 is just not an Autodesk product. It's allowing teams to work together and to share their project information. Same thing at the mobile apps. There's no difference. It's still using the same one that you would use on the A360 Drive. Still requires an account, and like I said, unlike the A360 Drive, there's no limitation of viewing file type. So if I had an inventor assembly, something from Revit or some other CAD package, I can access that information. So by now you're saying, all right, I'm really confused. You're talking about A360 and you're talking about A360 team. All right, what is the difference? So on the A360 aspect of it, all right, it is a free cloud-based service, all right, and it's per user. So kind of think this, A360 and A360 Drive, they're free cloud-based services, all right. The A360 is designed for individuals who are invited to a team or I should say invited to an A360 project, or for those who elect not to continue with the purchase of the A360 team interface, all right? It is, like I said, a project-based software, but it's only limited to one default project, and it only allows you 5 gigabytes of cloud space, all right? And there's no team members, and that's kind of a little misleading. It just means in regards to roles. Where in the A360 team, I can define there's a few roles that you can assign to team members, all right? In this, it's kind of like a wide open situation. So the A360 Team Scope, it is a paid cloud service, all right? It doesn't matter if you're on subscription or not. This is a separate functionality or subscription that you can purchase. And the nice thing about cloud-based software is that you're only paying for what you are using, all right, or what you're accessing. So it's broken up into 2 categories. One, up front, you could actually try a free 30-day trial if you wanted to. And the cost is associated depending on how you want to pay for it. So if you do an annual subscription, then it's $10 per member per month. If you do it as a monthly subscription, it's just a little bit, a few dollars more a month. And like I said, it doesn't matter if you have a current Autodesk subscription for your product. This is separate from that. It is designed for small and medium organizations, and in the future there has been talk about to support larger companies. However, the current A360, if you have a large organization, it would still function underneath that. You have unlimited project creation, and the nice thing about this is 10 gigabytes of cloud space per member. So is whatever you're paying for the members, then it's 10 gigabytes per member. It's not where under the A360 scope. It's just only 5 gigabytes. And it's unlimited team members. So that's the difference. So really the biggest difference between the A360 and the 360 team is that the one's a free and the team is the paid service. So the interface, or if I'm accessing my information, is all in one common location. So I can look at my calendar, activities that were assigned to me. I can toggle between my A360, my free team aspect, or I can, if I'm belong to an A360 team, I can look at that as well. So as you can see there by those screenshots, it's all in one interface. Just click on the links and go. And I don't have to, I got the design, I put this in the A360 Drive. I'm going to have to log out, log into A360 Drive, get it. It's all in one location. Creating a project is very simple in A360. I just hit the Create button, put my project information, and in a matter of a few minutes, I can start uploading my documents to it. And like I said earlier, in the A360 or /A360 team aspect, it is a manual upload. So you either select your files or drag and drop them to there. And it doesn't matter the type of files. You just have to remember, let's say, for example, if you have an inventor assembly, you got to make sure you bring all the parts up, because it doesn't, say, oh, this is an inventor assembly, and it requires all these files with it. So you would have to do that, and that's true for any other Autodesk products that have additional files that are attached to it. The other thing I just wanted to provide, this is a quick video offered by Autodesk. It's just basically the searching capabilities and right inside the viewer. So like I said, this viewer is supporting all different types of file types. It's just not an Autodesk product. Let me just, it's a very short video, but we'll. And one nice thing about the viewer is that it's not an overcomplicated viewer. Some viewers that you get that allows you to, look at all different file types, or sometimes they just got so much information there. Some users just don't know how to use it, especially if you never used CAD before. So this is very simple user interface. There's not a lot of buttons, but it allows you, for those people who need to look at 3D objects or 2D drawings, those type of things. It's just a very straightforward interface. So if we go back to that original workflow, and I'll apply that to the A360 team. Granted, keep in mind that the A360 you can only work on one project, but in that aspect, now I don't really have that limitation, because now I have bidirectional flow. I'm pushing and pulling data from many different sources out there. So that allows my team, they can be remote, they can be in another country, those type of things. It just makes it easier to work with. So to summarize it, back to our original question, what is a A360? And the key that I want to point out here, it is the application to manage your projects. Kind of think of the Inventor is to digital prototyping, Revit is to architecture, those type of things. This is the product. However, the key here is that it's just not designed just to work with Autodesk products. It's across the board that it can support quite a few different file formats, and it just makes it easier for the team to work together to share information. What can it do for your organization? Outside of having that centralized location, bring your team together, it's that share, view, and search capabilities, all right? It just, to me, it makes it a lot easier when you're working with projects, especially if your team is located, throughout the world or throughout the United States. It, doesn't have to be the world. So I just wanted to wrap up the presentation. If you need additional information, you can contact your Synergist account manager. There is an Autodesk A360 blog out there. There's a lot of information. I'm not sure how often it's updated, but I do see a lot of blog information coming about the Autodesk A360. There is a product overview if you want to go through that. You can access it and sign up for the 30-day trial. Just start poking around. Just keep in mind that if you're just poking around, trying it out for 30 days, I would be cautious about putting production stuff up there just in case that something happens and you're not going to continue on, just so that you don't lose that data. Mobile apps, like I said, the iTunes Store and the Google Play. And with that, I'll turn it over to any questions.
Hi, Mark. I don't currently have any questions, but while people jot in their questions, or if you want to ask a live question, we're happy to have you raise your hand icon and I can unmute you. But in the meantime, next webcast for Synergist 60 is in January. It's January 13th, and it will actually be Lynn Allen, and she'll be on at 2 p.m. to do the 60 AutoCAD tips in 60 minutes. It's really quite a phenomenal session. So if you're interested in that, you will be getting a follow-up email that will send you to our events page so that you can register for that. And then, of course, we have Synergist University is already open, and it's not until June 3rd, but right now until February, you can get really discounted tickets to register for that. So that, again, will be on our events page, and you'll get a link to that. I'm still not seeing any questions. If anybody does have, oh, hold on, we got one. Will Buzzsaw still exist, or does A360 Team replace Buzzsaw?
Currently, the information that we have is Buzzsaw or Streamline will continue to exist. I think at some point that down the road, and we don't know when that will be, that combining that interface together, the A360 Team aspect doesn't have all the functionality of Buzzsaw. So Autodesk at this point knows that people that are currently using Buzzsaw or Streamline, that would impact quite a few number of customers taking that capability away. So as of right now, Buzzsaw and Streamline are staying as is.
Perfect. I'll give it just another minute to see if anybody else has a question. And if you do come up with any questions tonight after you're thinking about this, or maybe you're collaborating with the team thinking about it and somebody else comes up with a question, feel free to respond to the email that you'll get likely tomorrow morning, and just let us know what your questions are, and we'll make sure that somebody gets to you to answer them. And that's all I see for today. So thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next month.
Bye, everyone.